Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Freedom Thinking Community Group. The date is Monday, the 7th of July, 2025. My name's Dave Ellery. I am one half of Freedom Thinking, the other half being Jen, who I do this every week. I look at the empty chair like a sad man. Like some sad man. I look at the empty chair where my wife used to sit. Hopefully she's coming. She's just putting our she's actually just feeding our kid. So once feeding time's over, then it's calm down time, which can take anything from like 2 or 3 minutes to 2 or 3 days. So we'll just have to wait and see what the hell happens. She's got the bugger in her tonight. Sika wasn't quite sure what that word meant. It means she's absolutely on fire. She is throwing things about. She is a toddler. She is being three. But yeah, other than that, all's good. Jen will hopefully be joining us in a wee bit. This is a via donation event. Anybody who benefits from this, who's enjoying these videos, if you enjoy this video, if you get benefit from it, please consider making a donation to Jenny and I, to Freedom Thinking, to help us keep up with our work. That can be done via PayPal. PayPal friends and family is our best, if possible. That way PayPal doesn't take any kind of cut. But we also have in the description below, if you're watching this in catch up, we have Buy Me a Coffee, which takes a certain percentage. And we also have our email address for getting in contact with us. You can ask for our bank details, and we can send you the bank details, but it's also a means by which to get in touch with us if you want to work with us. If you're interested in working with Jenny and myself, come and spend some time with us. Please get in touch. info@freedomthinking.co.uk. We have a retreat coming up. I'll mention that. It's in Coniston in the Lake District. It's looking to be a really, really beautiful event. We have got a video on YouTube. I will put the link to the video in the description if I can figure out how to do that. I don't think it should be rocket science. So yeah, if you're interested in a 4-day retreat, it's a catered retreat, dinner, bed and breakfast. 4 days in a beautiful, beautiful spot called Lane Head in Coniston, overlooking Coniston Water. Coniston Water is the 3rd largest body of water in the Lake District. If anybody knows anything about boating, it's where Donald Campbell attempted his water speed record, which was going well but didn't end well. So it's a cool spot. Beautiful walking, phenomenal walking. If you like your swimming, bring your swimming. There's a sauna, there's a cold plunge pool, there's a massive cold plunge pool about 6 miles long. Yeah. Amazing walking. Mines. There's Grisdale Forest just over the hill. It's a really, really cool spot. Really, really cool spot. And there'll be plenty of time. Hi, Susan. The way that we're organizing the retreat is we're doing it so that there is plenty of time for people to spend together. So there's plenty of time for people to spend together, to go for walks, to go out for lunches together. It's going to be a really, really chilled affair. All right. And Jen and I want to be able to get around everybody. So that's 4 days in the Lake District, from the 15th to the 19th of August. So if you're interested, please click the link in the description and it will take you through to the little video that we've made. Don't expect any BBC production. That's not Jenny and I. Jenny and I's work is this, what we do. We're not people who spend forever on the internet. So yeah, have a look. And if you're interested, get in touch. info@freedomthinking.co.uk. Let's let a couple of people in. Susan, how are you doing, love? Cool. Haley, mate. Hi, love. Right. Quick slurp of tea. All right. Is that it, Cole? Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. I'm getting good. It's like I've got a business or something. Right. I wanted to start with something tonight. Normally I open this up to questions and reflections and observations from participants, but just this evening I just wanted to start with something myself, if that's all right, if nobody minds. I wanted to talk a bit about thought. Surprise, surprise. But I wanted to talk about it in a different way, in the hope that people, I can see everybody's frozen. Can everybody still hear me? Has my voice cut out? Hello?
Oh,
You're all good? Are we still good? Cool. Everybody froze on my screen. I wasn't sure if I cut out. In a way that perhaps in seeing it spoken or hearing it spoken in a different way. Now, this was something that was really, really alive for me this morning about lunchtime. And I made a little note, talk about this at community group. And if I'd come on at community group at 12 o'clock this afternoon, I think it would have I'd have nailed it. It would have flowed through. I was full of inspiration. Speak about it like this. I was just getting flooded with insight. But this is a few hours old now, so I'm going to attempt it. We'll see how we get on, see what comes. But I think it's a valuable way to start to consider thought, to start to become aware of thought. I always remember one of the greatest questions I ever got asked. It was by Sue, who introduced me to the principles. One of my dear friends. She asked me the question, Dave, what is thought? What is it? I remember being 33 years old, quick to temper, and that instantaneously getting my back up that question. And I remember the thoughts running through my head at the time. That's a question you'd ask a 4-year-old. You wouldn't ask a 33-year-old question, that question. What a ridiculous question. And I remember looking at Sue, and Sue was just staring right back at me. What is thought, Dave? What is it? And I remember my response. It was, it's ideas. She went, congratulations. That's a use of thought. But what is thought? I was starting to get a little bit more humble by this point. I remember looking at her and saying, I don't know. And realizing the fact I didn't know what thought was kind of really eye-opening. And then Sue's response was even more eye-opening for me at that time. She just looked at me and said, neither do I. There's a force that I'd been using my entire life, and I'd never even questioned what it was. What is it? What is this fundamental principle of consciousness of mind? What is it? What is this fundamental principle of existence? And I say fundamental principle because it lives through everything. If you've got a dog, you've got a cat. You know that they know when tea time is. You know that they know who you are. They recognize you. You know that your dog is capable of being so affectionate and loving and kind. Also has the potential to be scared. It can get excited and get horny. my little dog used to come to community group and we'd stick him on his little bed, and he was a tiny little Jack Russell. Bevel remember him. Lise remembers him as well. He'd fold his little bed in half in front of the group. We'd used to run our community groups in person and then do it online and at the same time, but he'd fold his little bed in half and he'd start scuttling it in front of everybody. And it was just the most distracting bloody thing. And we were like, right, time to go in the car, pal. Not relieving yourself in front of everybody tonight. But I remember Rusty used to have all these different experiences. He used to learn. How can you learn without thought? How could you possibly learn anything? How could you remember without thought? How could you figure stuff out? Like Rusty used to figure out these little puzzles I used to set him. How could he do that without thought? Thought lives through everything. And it's quite an interesting thing because more often than not, when you ask people that do they know what thought is, they think they have some form of idea, which is cool. Maybe you do. But what was coming to me this morning afternoon was to attempt to try and speak to it in its most fundamental essence. What is thought? And I want to speak of it as energy. Perhaps you are considered thought as energy. But I know when it happened for me, when I started to realize thought was so much bigger than what I think. Thought to me is the principle of God, what people would call God. Something when in the book of Thomas, when Yeshua was asked, where is this God's kingdom? His response was, the kingdom is within the heart of every man, woman, and child. God's kingdom, the creator, is within. He also said the kingdom is both inside of you and outside of you. You are within an ocean of infinite potential, and that infinite potential is in you and all around you. You are an aspect, you are a wave on the ocean of infinite potential. But within your wave lies all the infinite potential of the ocean, like a fractal. And that is everybody on Earth. That's why the ocean has often been used as a metaphor throughout time to describe the oneness of life, which is what Yeshua was trying to point to, Jesus. Yeshua was his Aramaic name, apparently. I don't know. According to Didymus Thomas, his twin, a scribe who followed him around at the time, that's what he wrote down. So this infinite force, I remember also, I've mentioned this before, but also a lady who came to one of Jenny's retreats back in the day when she used to do them with Rudy. There was a lady came, and I remember her sitting there and going, what you're saying makes so much sense. She says, because my husband does original biblical translation. He takes the original, like Aramaic or whatever language it was written in, Hebrew or whatever it was written in, and he translates it into modern day language. And she said, and he came home 20 years ago, so this must be like getting close to 30 years ago now. 20 years ago, he came home and she said he came in kind of bouncing, and he said, I think the opening statement of the New Testament is inaccurate. In the beginning was God, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In the beginning was God, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That is what I said. I think that's what I said. She said he came in and said, if I was to translate that now, it would be, in the beginning was thought, Thought was with God and thought was God. Which, when you hear that, makes an awful lot of sense. Speak about the Creator. Everything is a vibration. The sounds you're hearing now are a vibration of air molecules coming from my vocal cords, from my vibrating being, my energetic being, coming from the vibration of my vocal cords, going into the microphone, and then through this phenomenal thought created device, it's then transported through vibrations of energy from one Wi-Fi system to another, through your phenomenal thought created device, out of the speakers as vibrations of air molecules again taken, hit the eardrum, and then we have this experience of sound. The experience of sound is never experienced outside of anyone. Does a tree make a noise if it falls over in a wood and there's nobody there to hear it? No. No, it's not a complicated question. Sound is an experience. It will produce the movement of air molecules, but the actual experience of sound is only created the moment those air molecules hit an eardrum, and there is consciousness there to experience it. Sound is an experience. So even my voice coming to you now is waves. Likewise, so is the light coming from the screen. It's light is waves, light waves. Light is different frequencies of waves, and that's why you get color. You know, each physical thing absorbs, my apologies, a certain aspect of the light spectrum, and in doing so, what we get bounced back to us is the light that isn't absorbed. And in doing so, we get to experience those light waves as an experience of color. Okay, and thought is no different. Thought is waves, energy. Now, I don't know what energy is. I'll start with that disclaimer. I personally do not know to this day what energy is. But if you start to consider that everything is made of energy, everything is made of waves, every single thought that we have is the formation, is a collapsing of the wave potential into an experiential potential of reality, which is what we call our life. And every single wave that collapses into a potential that we call a thought comes with its own vibratory kind of experience, which is what we feel. We feel the vibration of energy that is entering into is being created or coming from our awareness in any given moment. This is what's taking place. We are energy beings. We're infinite energy beings. And the thing is about that infinite energy is it can show up in any way, but it lies at the heart of who and what we are. We are that ocean of infinite energy, and every single wave that comes, that is created from the energy field that is ourself, that is all things, the kingdom that lies at the heart of ourselves. Every single one of those is a unique energy signature. It's a unique expression of energy, and that energy is what is creating our experience. That's why it never stops, because you cannot kill energy. That's why when, you know, the notion of death being the final thing is a ridiculous notion. Even in basic physics that we're taught at school, you're taught that energy never dies. You cannot destroy energy. It can only ever change form. Well, what's going on within our being continuously is the continuous changing of form taking place as the experience of reality that we call our lives. It's happening right now. There's energy, whatever energy is, the nothingness of all things that is at the same time absolute total fullness and infiniteness. An uncomprehendable thing as far as I'm concerned, something I cannot comprehend with my intellect. But this is why people talk about vibrations. You know, it's a good vibe, it's a nice vibe here, whatever, or they've got a bad vibe about them. Why? Because everything's energy. We know this on some fundamental level. So the energy being that is ourself is our consciousness state. And our consciousness state can produce any experience that consciousness state so wishes. Now, some of them, our little frequency created ideologies of who and what we think we are, doesn't like what it's creating. But fundamentally, it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. Every single thought, every single feeling is a unique expression of energy. That's why these energies can come in and be our everything in a moment. They can be so all-encompassing and then leave. We've all experienced that. You've been in an absolutely foul mood about something. You've fallen out with your wife, you've fallen out with your husband, your partner, your dog, person on the road. And it seems like everything to us in that moment. And then all of a sudden, the wave, new frequency is born, being created continuously, and all of a sudden you're in a totally different, unique experience again. And I say unique because this is all taking place in the now. People will say, but Dave, I experience this regularly. But that's an observation, that's something you've remembered. However, you cannot experience yesterday's expression of energy. You can only experience now's expression of energy. You can only experience thought now. So there's no going back. People have been concerned in the past about, am I going back to who I used to be? Am I regressing? There is no such thing as regression. There is no such thing as going back. You cannot go back to who you once were. It's impossible because we live in the now. This energy field is an eternal nowness. To me, the word now is another word for God. The word now is another word for the true self, me, I. My daughter's so loud. Did you hear it? Thank God for directional mics. I sometimes think that looking at something, the same thing from a different point of view, using different language, can sometimes help to break down doors and ideas of where we get stuck. Because our stuckness is a belief. Our stuckness isn't a fact, it's a belief. It's when we take the infinite potential and we go, that's real, or that one there, that's true reality, as opposed to the actual true reality, which is the identification with the ocean of self, the infinite being. That's our true identity. Everything, everything after that is entirely wave pattern and made up. And that's why we're all seeing different worlds. That's why we're all seeing different realities. One of the most important things we can start to discover is that the reality we encounter is not outside of us, it's inside of us. when you sever that link between outside and inside, and you realize that all that exists for me really is inside. The whole world I see is an expression of my inner being. The whole world I see is what I believe. The whole world I see is is vibration coming, being interpreted and then believed into as the experience. You realize that it's not a broken system, it's a perfect system. Nobody's broken. Everybody's whole. There are no wrong waves on an ocean. There is no wrong wave in infinity. There's just the perfect, eternal creation. Now, some of that perfect, eternal creation creates things like I've experienced a lot of in my life: depression, anxiety, anger. It's not saying that I enjoyed it. It's not saying I couldn't have a more beautiful life. Could totally have a more beautiful life, but I couldn't at that time. But the possibility lay within the infinite being, and it lies within the heart of everybody. That possibility for the beautiful life is just there. It's always there. It's just aligning with that frequency of being. And you cannot do that with our thinking. You cannot do that with what has already been created. The intellect, the ego. That's why when Sid came along and he said, there's nothing to do. It took me ages to get my head around that. What? Of course I have to do this. I have to do that. I had no idea that when my mind went quiet, there's an emptiness available to us. Is it always available to me? No, it's not. But it was there this morning, which is when I started to think about talking about this conversation. But in that emptiness is this richness of insight, this richness of downloading new information. I'll just read a couple that came to me this morning. If I still like them, I haven't really looked at them. Okay. Which was one of the first ones I wrote down. The essence of life. And I'll explain just before I start reading this, the reason why I'm interested in the essence of life. Because I'm interested in that creates. Everything that comes from it is an illusion. It's an expression of it. If you notice, it changes. Everything changes. Everything that comes into form changes. The sun, the earth, the weather, the trees, us, our thoughts, our feelings. Everything is in a constant state of change. I'm interested in that doesn't change, the eternal. Now, if you look, you'll realize that's what you are, because ever since you were born, you've experienced all these different experiences, but you were there to watch it all. You saw it all. You never went anywhere. The spirit, the soul, the true being, the ocean. The essence of life is found in the most irrational of experiences. From the irrational is born the rational. And from the rational is born our delusion of knowledge. Only when we rediscover the irrational, that can never be understood from the rational, do we find our wholeness. Do we find that actually the most rational thing about life is that it is ultimately irrational. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. We live in this divine mystery. We're trying to make sense of our lives. We're trying to have a more beautiful life. We're trying to change our lives. We're trying to understand life. But anybody who has any experience whereby that ego goes quiet for a moment, it collapses, they're left with this irrational experience, or an experience they know is real, or as real as it can be, but they can't explain it. And this has been the way for thousands of years that we're aware of, that people have spoken and known about this. And then we're in a fortunate position in 2025 where we have the internet fully up and running, and there are many people speaking about their near-death experiences and stuff, and they come back and there seems to be this overwhelming, overarching story: love, something that cannot be explained, an experience that cannot be explained. Now, in my observations of that, what that means is the ego, the intellect, cannot formulate a concept to rationalize it. At that point, the ego, the intellect, is stumped into utter pointlessness, and it goes quiet. And the thing that fills that quiet is love. And it's then that people start to realize that's their true nature before they think, before they engage with the frequencies that are running through their consciousness or coming from their consciousness, whichever. There's no outside. And Sid Banks always used to say, it's in stillness that you find the truth. Stillness of what? When the ocean goes calm, when the ocean of our being suddenly goes quiet, that's why people have meditated throughout time and still do to this day, to quieten their mind. And in doing so, there's this stillness that emerges within their being that's peaceful, gives them a break from the chatter of the constant going on of the intellect, thoughts, wave patterns. People walk, because when they walk, their minds go quieten down. Just the rhythmical, meditative, taking a step, being in the present moment, noticing what's around them. The quiet that starts to come into their being, the stillness. And in doing so, they start to feel better. What a wonderful gift we all have to start to contemplate the notion that the only thing that's ever taking us out of that feeling is a thought. We're privileged people to realize there's nothing to be afraid of in any experience. All experience is experience. There is nothing to be afraid of in any of it. It's the greatest gift we can find. It means we go into life and we just live and we feel. We're not trying to fight a feeling, we're just living. When you realize there's no fight to be had, there's nothing you need to fight. There's nothing wrong. We're not ill if we feel a certain way, even if you suffer from what you've been diagnosed with, things like depression, anxiety, OCD, whatever. I've got a niece who went through severe psychosis. We knew she wasn't broken. We knew she wasn't broken. We knew it was temporary. We knew that at some point she would come out of it. We had no idea how it would look, but we knew, because we are aware in the family surrounding her, we are aware that all experience is temporary. The fact of experience is eternal, but the flavor in which it shows up as is temporary. And we gave her time, and we had to fight the system to not get her put on meds because she didn't want meds. I had to literally stand between them at one point. It was really touch and go whether or not she would have been taken away from us and 16, 17, 15, 16, 17 years old. But we knew that she would come back into this dimension of reality. The same mechanism was up and running for her as what's up and running for us. It's all thought created experience. She couldn't have experienced any of that, what we would call delusional thinking, without the power of thought. And her dead body would never experience it. So therefore it is integral. Can never be separated. Can never be separated from the conversation. Or should never be separated. It is, but it should never be separated. It should be brought back into the conversation. Body and spirit. Body and the creative capacity that lies within it, enlivening the body, living the body. The word animation, to animate the body. The word animation comes from the word anima, which is Greek, and also I think it was a Celtic word. And anima means soul. So I just wanted to start with that. Just a different way of talking about thought. It might have completely muddied the waters. It might have been a nightmare. I'm sorry if it was. It was useful for me to start to see it that way, because it helped me see through my limitations and my blocks that I had. Once I started to see thought differently, it opened my mind, my being to new possibilities and new potentials. It's all just words. It's not in the words, it's inside of us. All right. Does anybody want to talk about anything? Does anybody want to take a call? It's right in there.
Can I ask a small favour?
Mm.
Would you read Lisa's poem to us?
Which one, mate?
Something, My Darling Child.
Which one? A lot of them start with that.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. See if I can find it. One sec. Yeah, so people who don't know, Lisa is my sister. She came after I had my awakening. She thought I was mental. And we're looking for him, we're looking for the cat. And it took her a wee while to even kind of speak to me. I remember I booked her a ticket. I went to the conference and I heard Dick and Bettinger speak at the conference, and Jenny, my wife, had put out a load of flyers for Dick and talking in Manchester. And I was like, in Manchester? Well, that's an hour and a half down the road. I can do that. So I bought 2 tickets, one for me and one for my sister. And my sister and I had been through a really, really trying time because I'd split up with my first wife, and my first wife was my sister's best friend. So it was a really, really messy, horrible time. And I bought her this ticket, and I said, Lisa, I've got your birthday present. And she went, what is it? I gave her this envelope. She opened it. She went, oh, my sister. My sister's got worse language than me. I mean, and that says something, right? My sister, she uses the F word as punctuation, like literally. And she was like, oh, for fuck's sake, it's going to be full of fucking weirdos like you, isn't it? I'm like, right, look, if you come and you hear something, I promise you it will be the best birthday present you ever receive in your life. She went, I'm not coming. I'm not interested in that weird shit. Anyway, I was going to ask Sue, the lady who introduced me to the principal, Sue Huginson. A couple of days later, she rung me up and went, I'll come. I said, all right, what's made you change your mind? She went, Ewan, her husband at the time, had said, I think Dave's offering you an olive branch. I think you should pick it up. It was my kind of reach out to kind of, can we spend some time together? And she said, I'm going to come. She said, but I need to go for a run in the morning. I need to do this. I need to do that. I'm like, whatever. Anyway, so anybody who knows my sister, Bev knows my sister. I was introduced to Bev through my sister and Colin Cathdo and Wend. I don't think you've met my sister, but my sister and I'm like the moon, right? I come out, shine a bit. Like, there's only half of me there sometimes. Sometimes there's just a fraction of me there. You know, shine a little bit of light. Oh, clouds come, going back to bed. Like, but my sister, she's like the sun. She is full on energy. She's somebody who has to run every single day because she has excess energy. And she's always had that. She's been like that since we were kids. And I thought this is going to go one or two ways. It's either going to go terribly, it's going to go wonderfully. And we got there day one, and she tried to argue with me on the way down. I just wasn't entertaining it. We got there, and she went and got a cup of tea, and somebody walked up. Liliana Bellini was one of the first people who, well, if anybody knows Lily walked up to my sister and started talking to her, and then another fella walked up and started talking, and she came up to me and started, and she went, everybody's really normal. I'm like, yeah. And then she sat down and Dickens started speaking, and he drew a diagram. He drew this. It was a diagram that Sid Banks had shown them at some point. And he just drew this diagram. He drew that. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see that? I don't know if I can get that into focus. It says formless. From the formless, from nothingness, comes form. My little sister was like that. Didn't move a muscle. She just sat there bolt upright, and I'm like, anyway, that evening we went out for a meal, and we went around Manchester, and we found this little Prosecco bar, and we sat down, and there was this Asian lad playing the guitar and singing, and he was phenomenal. It was beautiful, beautiful. We sat down this little Prosecco bar, and right in front of this man, and I suddenly felt this hand hold my hand, and I looked, it was my sister's hand, and I looked at her, and she's crying. I went, you're right, Lise. She said, Dave, I've never felt so beautiful in my entire life. I went, happy birthday. And we, from that point onwards, her heart opened. She allowed in the love. She allowed the love in. It's us that has to allow it in. We have to allow it in. Sometimes it gets to the point where people are so get to the point like I did where I can't take any more of this shit life. You know, you get to the point where you just give up and then it fills you. It's in the letting go of control that you start to discover you fly, you whole. But from that moment on, she started receiving messages. She gets more than me. You haven't weathered the storms? This was 30th of December 2022. You haven't weathered the storms, darling child. You have been thrashed by the rain and electrocuted by the lightning. All have shown you in the face of the things that you fear the most. No damage was done. You cannot know this life without the raging of the storms. Knowing you can withstand all weather without permanent discomfort is a gift in this life. The rain will thrash and the lightning will strike. Life has taught you, like the wind moves the clouds, so shall your weather settle, and the sky become clear. As you rest in the ever-present warmth of the gentle sun, take a breath, as you get to notice the importance of the weather, and how what looks like a storm is the gateway to change and the driving force of life. You are made of the elements. Is that the one, dude?
Yes, beautiful. Thank you.
There's another one I really like. I've just lost the bloody thing now. There you go. I'll read this and then we'll go back to you lot. This is one of my favourites. People have heard these many times, but I still love it. You know, you can read a book over and over again. I'm speaking bullshit. What the hell do I know? I can watch a film over and over again and I see a different film. It's quite interesting. You see different, but I don't remember that part last time. Oh, that's different. Oh, I get that bit now. Look at me pretending I read. Tell a lie. I've read a lot of books lately. Pip and Posy. The Snail and the Whale. Excellent book. What else is there? Oh, Cockatoos. Cockatoos, yeah. Anyway, you don't need to fear anything in this life, beautiful soul. You don't need to fear anything in this life, beautiful soul. You, darling child, are made of the elements of the universe. We made you into a perfect creation. I've asked her who that we is and she has no idea. Your task is to realize you have life. You have a gift of materialization from a formless universe. You are the exact magic that you seek. You are the perfection of the flower you so graciously marvel. You are the fast flowing river and the sun in the sky. You are the invisible into the visible. You are a dance, a play on an incredible stage. Darling child, be with your gift. Be with your creation. You are built for this life. Every rhythmic heartbeat, every single breath you breathe is a gift. You get to experience life. Breathe, see, listen. You never need fear this life because you are life itself. An incredible creation made from the material magic and majesty that makes all things. You are loved. 31st of October 22. I love those. Okay, anybody else?
It's me.
Hey, up, Lise.
Thanks
Twice
for
in one.
that.
What a privilege.
Yeah, I know. Aren't we lucky?
Yeah.
There was something you said this morning, and I'm buggered if I can remember it. And it was so powerful. It was so powerful, I instantly forgot it. Gosh, suffering. Oh gosh, I really wish I could remember.
The further into suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it?
Bear with me 1 second. The further into suffering you go, the further
Great.
unreality you have entered.
Yeah. Yeah.
The further into suffering you go, the further into unreality you have entered. Yeah, that was a gift when that one came.
Yeah. I might have to ask you to remind me at the end or write it in the group because, yeah, the 3-second brain. But I woke up this morning with the darkest, heavy blanket of doom and gloom, and it was so oppressive. And I thought, oh my God, no, not again, not again. And but then I made this conscious decision, and it was somewhat after our call, but I made this conscious decision, and I know it's a doing, but I made this conscious decision to find joy. And I walked the dogs and watched them play. I did some weeding in the communal park, pulled up a good few weeds, deadheaded some roses with my snippers. And I was just walking down the road. I didn't look down or straight ahead. I looked up. I looked at the tops of the trees. I looked at the sky. I looked at the clouds. So many people walk straight. They're just looking straight ahead. I stopped and photographed roses and flowers. As I walked to my friends, I looked at the sea and remembered the waves and thought of waves. I played with the kittens and I watched children playing in the fountains, but I stopped to watch, to let it land, to let the joy land, rather than just walking past it going, that's nice, that's nice. I stopped and took it in. And yeah, I've had this undercurrent of, oh, everything's terrible going on in the background like a stuck record. But I chose joy today. I made that conscious effort to choose joy because I had the choice. I could have stayed in that mood and let it bubble away and
dictate your day.
Yeah, dictate my day. And so it hasn't been a joyous one of those, hey, it's just been a joyful day. It's taken a bit of work, if you will, or taken a bit of consciousness or whatever, but just to make that conscious choice of nah, I'm choosing joy today. I'm going to look for it wherever I go.
Well, it sounds
And
like you had
so,
an interesting day.
yeah, it was interesting noticing thought, but noticing what was around me, a flower, a bird, a leaf, the sky,
A dog?
looking up, dogs. And and this afternoon, so I'm finding it a bit hard because I don't particularly have a role. Tilly, my foster daughter's up and flying, so doesn't need me that much. And I guess I'm in this space of semi-retirement. And as a doing person that doesn't do sitting down, I thought, right, 3 o'clock, 3:30, we are going to bed and we are going to play on the iPad doing jigsaws, iPad jigsaws, and you will find something. And it was uncomfortable, but I thought, hey, this is something that you're maybe going to have to get used to, because I can't just keep doing. There's only so much I can do apart from go and chop down some trees or something. But I just thought, Lisa, if you can learn to get quiet doing your your online jigsaws and stuff, that's when the moments of, hey, insight will pop in. Just learn to get quiet, whatever it takes, in what form it takes. I'm not one of those that can just sit and meditate, but yeah, just that I
You
chose.
were meditating when you were walking.
I was,
So
and I was listening.
that's meditation. Like I remember Sid saying, meditation's a state of being. You find yourself in a meditative state when your mind becomes quieter. You've entered into a meditative state.
Mm-hmm.
And people tend to think of meditation as a doing, as a bit, but it's actually a state of being.
Mm-hmm.
So you being present and observing the kids, that is you in a meditative state. You looking at the trees, that's you in a meditative state. It's a state of presence.
Mm.
You said,
So
sorry, sweetheart, carry on.
so it's just that the day of this undercurrent of low mood were just punctuated with moments of joy, and it doesn't have to be. I'm like, Lise, you don't have to go through the day in this. Hey, everything's wonderful. Hi, how are you? I did lots of that though. I thought I'm going to dish out smiles like they're fucking going out of fashion, and and I'm just going to dish out love like the shits. I've just got too much of it, and yeah. So yeah, this undercurrent still nattering away, but I'm choosing joy.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's like that undercurrent, if I'm hearing you accurately, appears to have had moments throughout the day when it's not been present.
Mm.
So you can see, like, it can't be our makeup, it cannot be our foundational being that is that undercurrent. Because if it was, it would eternally have to be there. So the thing that we disdain the most about our experience isn't something that's a permanent state. Even if there are glimpses where we notice, oh, freaking hell, I feel amazing right now, or I'm actually at peace right now, or oh, that was really funny. It's like in that moment you can learn from that. You can learn from that experience, and you can start to see, well, if there is breaks in this, if there are moments when it collapses, and okay, I create it again, but it's like if there is that going on, then it cannot be my fundamental state of being, because my fundamental state of being never goes anywhere. But that has the capacity to come and go. So it's like, I feel like if we can start to have a respect for that, we can start to understand what we're dealing with. We can. I don't like this word. I'm really actually loath to use it, but I think I'm going to use it. Fucking hell. Please don't hear this out of context. If you're at war, it's better to understand your enemy. Right.
Mm,
Now drop the war. Now drop the enemy bit. Okay. But it's like that. If you can start to understand how experience works, you can start to get a respect for it. You realize there's not actually a lot to fear. You know, the only thing you ever get to fear is experience. The experience you're experiencing is the only thing you can't fear something outside of yourself. It's impossible. The only thing we're ever fearing is the idea we've dreamt about whatever's outside of ourselves. That's what fear is. It's a thought. It's a wave. It's a wave coming into. It's the formless taking form, and we become afraid of the form.
mm. And as you were talking about before, you know, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I'm regressing. I'm going back to that state of depression. And that was quite scary, I have to say. But I just kept thinking,
The thing that was scary was your thought that, oh shit, I'm going back into depression. That thought is another wave. It's just another wave. So it's like, that's the thing you're actually afraid of. You're not afraid of going back into depression because that's not happening for two reasons. One, if you have the idea I'm going back, it means you're not there.
yeah,
And two, reality doesn't work like that.
yeah, just what you were saying before. That I just thought, yeah,
There is
I can't.
no going back. We live in eternal creation in the moment.
And learning, you know, when you've seen things, you kind of can't go back because you've seen different way of being. So it was just an old thought pattern, an
Familiar.
old, huh?
It was a familiar ripple.
A familiar ripple. Here we go again, the familiar ripple. Yeah, but I'm choosing joy, matey. Yeah.
You know, and he said something there. I know it's a doing. I want to clarify something on that. When Sid was saying there's nothing to do, what he was meaning was you are already the most spiritual thing. You are already creating divine experience, or you are already divinity creating experience. You're already it. You're already the power of mind, consciousness, thought. Now, those three words are really one thing. They are the force of life. Life itself is consciousness thinking. Mind bit is infinity. Consciousness creating, divinity creating. If you look closely, you'll realize that infinite experience, infinite reality is taking place right now. Just look out your window.
Yep.
You will see infinite if you've got eyes to see it. I don't mean you will literally see all infinite creation, but you'll gain a respect for it. You'll see that all the birds, all the insects, the trees, your grass gets cut, it regrows. You cut the heads off your daisies, they regrow. Watch the daisies, they follow the sun round. It's all an experience. Everything is experience. The trees don't grow into one another because they're aware of each other's presence. They're having an experience. Clearly, if it was random, they weren't having an experience. They grow all over the shop, but they don't. So it's like, once you start to see it, it's like you start to see the infinite experience is taking place anyway. We are but a fragment of infinite experience taking place within the whole. So that what is God? God is the ultimate, is the infinite experiencer. It's that is ultimately the ocean that waves, and each wave is an experience. But within the wave is the infinite possibility of experience. So
I just wish I'd live more in a space of joy. I think my possible default setting is sort of drawn towards the negative since since
Your default
becoming.
setting, Lise, your default setting is pure infinite love that you cannot comprehend. You are not.
I know.
Just bear with me 1 second. Bear with me one
Oh,
second.
mhm.
Bear with me 1 second. Right.
Zip, zip.
I know it's really, really easy for me to say that. And I know it's really, really easy to not believe that. I would never have believed that.
Mm.
Why would I have believed that? Because my life was shit. So why would I ever have believed that my infinite, my truest state of being is actually love? Well, first of all, I had to experience it. Okay. Now, you will never find it, and I promise you this. You will never find it in negative thought. Or can I rephrase that? You will never find it in thought that you assign as being negative, because you are creating the frequency of its polar opposite. Even though it is created from it, the pole, it's like a bar magnet. Positive pole, negative pole, north pole, south pole. It's all one magnet. Two poles, one magnet. This one attracts, this one repels. Opposite poles within the same magnet. I don't understand how the hell that works, but it's like that. Through studying our foibles, through analyzing our hard times, through giving it all attention, we create the very thing that we're doing our best to try and avoid. Consciousness thought creates reality. Consciousness thought creates reality. Consciousness thought creates reality. Consciousness thought creates reality. Now, thought is multidimensional. Thought is multi-dimensional. It's not just on a singular plane, it's on many planes. There's thought. Without thought, how could my heart remember to beat? Without thought, how could my cells know to heal my cuts? How can my skin heal? Without thought, how can my body know to digest food? How could it know when to release insulin? How could it know when to release adrenaline? Thought is on multi dimensions. We're talking about something so vast, so magnificent. We're talking about the subconscious. What is the subconscious? The subconscious is thought that we're not consciously aware of. That's all it is. That tends to be closely linked to the belief system, what we believe, what we think is real, what we think is the truth, what we think is an undeniable fact. There are no undeniable facts apart from the true one fact, which is that everything is whatever this infinite creative force that is living through every single one of us is. That can never be articulated, that can never be held, that can never be contemplated, that can never be seen. But it is who and what we actually are. Everything after that is a story. But it's a story that shows up as our realities. One of my favorite quotes of Sid Banks is, "You are given the gift to come into this world and create whatever reality you so wish." There is no greater gift in the universe than that. He wasn't talking to the ego. He was talking to the soul. The soul knows that. The ego is the only thing that sees a problem, because the ego is based in duality. The ego is based in separation. The ego is the illusion of separation itself. it is the source of duality. Duality doesn't exist, therefore the ego doesn't exist. It's just a story of the mind. So the ego will the ego will say, my underlying default is one of not goodness. My underlying natural state of being is one of suffering. The ego will say that. But the soul knows that's not true.
And it's also like you're saying about beliefs. My belief this morning was, oh God, and it was old beliefs.
The thing that shifts our lives. I think that last week, community group, I think I said this, or the week before. It doesn't matter what modality you go through, whether you go through ayahuasca, magic mushrooms, LSD, 12-step, NLP, CBT, regressive therapy, three principles shouldn't really be added into that category. It's a different conversation to those things. But it doesn't matter. This conversation, okay, this very call now, it doesn't matter if you have a change within your being. It didn't come from any of those things. It came from insight. It came from insight. It came from a realization. Look at the word realization, the realization of reality, the creation of something new. It came from insight. The ego is the only thing that sees problems. The ego is the only thing that creates suffering. If you really look at suffering, it's based in time. More often than not, time doesn't even exist. It's based in a future or the past, neither of which actually exists, so therefore it must be thought. Okay, so therefore it has to be thought. But why is that thought real? Compared to the infinite variety of thoughts that exist within infinity, why is that thought the true reality? Why is that potential? Why is that wave the true wave and all the other waves are not real? You see, that's a belief. That's what a belief, that's like almost a description of a belief. When we think that the wave is real, when we think that the wave is solid, when we think that's what creates ego. It's not the ego thinking. Ego is a creation in the now. Ego is beliefs. But our beliefs are that which flavor our reality. So if I believe I'm fundamentally flawed, I'm going to experience I'm fundamentally flawed until insight comes. Now, I don't know about anybody else. I've never been able to manufacture insight, but I understand the mechanics of that, because the insight is a fresh, brand new experience. So if you've manufactured it, it's something you already know, you've already experienced it. It's too late. So therefore it could never be insight. It would have to be intellect. And the intellect actually has no power because it's already been created. Creation doesn't have the power of infinite potential behind it anymore. It's too late. Yeah, Lise, it's in just being. One of the greatest gifts you can do is just listen. Not trying to fix anything. If you're listening through, I've got this thing and I need to fix it. Okay, you'll be listening going, when's Dave going to speak about this thing that's relevant to me? Or when's so-and-so, so-and-so Hannah going to speak about that thing that's relevant to me? When's Sid going to speak about that thing that's relevant to me? You're not listening. It's in the letting go of all of the things. It's in the relaxing. It's in the, I feel myself. I can feel it in my head, in my brain. When I'm in my brain and I feel it, I literally feel my brain relax when I remember and I go, oh, I'm doing it again, and I relax out of it. When I disengage with the thoughts, I feel my brain actually go from that, what feels like that, to that. And in that space, there's the opening up again and the allowing again of something new. Sometimes it comes straight back in. Sometimes it's like that for, I was looking in the mirror yesterday and I was like, fucking hell, how long have you had that bloody line there for today? Like, just heavy thought, heavy experience.
Do you know what? I looked in the mirror the other day and I thought, bloody hell, how long have you had those lines there, that furrow in the middle? I just thought I need Botox. Yeah.
Botox.
But I just
I'll
caught
get
myself
rid of
and
my
I thought,
bonkers thinking.
oh, flipping heck. I thought, is that your natural resting bitch face? You know, with those furrows. And I just thought, oh boy, we've just got to open up that forehead a bit more and just just make smiling our default rest rather than this, resting. This I realized even when I was kind of laughing, I still had these furrows, and I was like, whoa, they've got to go. You've just got to open this up, let the light in. I didn't realize how much light I was losing, like through my eyelids. So yeah, the appointments book. I'm going to look 22 next week. No, just kidding. Anyway, I'll let somebody else talk.
No, it's cool. There is no exception. You are not an exception to the rule. The exception to the rule is an egoic thought.
Yeah, thank you. The exception to the real is an egoic thought, and that is duality. Is it? Something like that.
Doesn't matter what it is.
What it is.
Just the exception to the rule is, I won't make it any more complicated than that.
No, I don't want to. No,
The
thank
exception
you.
to the rule, if I'm an exception to the fact that I am infinite creator being. No, something is enforcing itself upon me. No, nothing does. There is nothing but infinite creator being. So if I cannot be an exception to that, nobody is. Only the ego would have that, would believe.
Right.
Or should I say, that creates the ego that we experience more accurately.
But I have thought that. No,
keep it simple.
Yeah. Definitely.
I maybe didn't start off with this in the simplest of ways. It was just something new to talk about in a way that it was that.
This is Pippin Whipping. Pippin Whipping.
Are you done with Pippin Whipping? I'll have Pippin Whipping.
You'd like Pippin Whipping.
I'll
bring him on the walk. I'll bring him on the walk. Yeah.
Cool. Anybody
okay,
else?
Love.
Thanks, Liz. Anybody else want to share anything? Hey, Rach.
She wanted to join, but I only saw the message. I've just sent the link, so I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Rach.
Yeah. Putting Lucy to bed.
No problem.
Where are you at, love?
Right now I'm in Liverpool.
Ah, I recognize that from this morning.
Yep.
Welcome, Rach.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Okay, does anybody else have anything they want to share? Any questions, reflections, observations? Any direction in which to take this call? Rach, that includes you, if you've got a direction you want to take this call.
No, I'm just checking it out for now. Thank you though.
Sure. You're welcome.
Just in addition to Lisa's flow of thought, how do you shake that belief once it gets a hold of you? And I understand that you just have to sit in it and let it ride. But is there some other, even though I recognize that the belief is formed from thought, yeah, just how do you shake it off? It just feels like it's got a clutch, like a hold on you. So how do you get over that?
I don't know what the context is of it.
Well, could he not make out from Seeker's thing?
Well, I don't know. No, I don't know what we've been talking about.
All right.
I will speak to it if you give me a
Yeah,
little more
speak. I
context.
think Seeker,
So,
can you expand that question? I was giving Jenny the opportunity since she's here.
so I identify with what Lisa was talking about how you can wake up with this belief that it's gonna be a bad day or whatever it can be. How do you shake that negative belief from your system? And I do understand that you're giving more importance to one kind of thought more than the rest of all the numerous thoughts that are there in your head. And I was just wondering if, I don't know, there's a quick fix to shaking that belief, and other than telling yourself to just get over it.
Smoking, vodka, they're both good.
Yeah, nah,
No, oh,
I'm not into it. Yeah.
It's strange. There's so many feelings that we're like, how do we get rid of those quicker? How do we do it? How do we do life different? Because I don't like what's showing up. And I can only talk from my experience, but since coming across the principles, it's just been a journey and an exploration of noticing I can get caught up in certain type of thinking sometimes, and sometimes when you wake up with that feeling and you don't even really know what it is, you just wake up in that feeling. I think I used to think it meant something, and I think after coming across the principles, I don't give it the life, I don't give it the meaning I used to, and I get on with my day. And sometimes anxiety comes into my day with me, or fear, or I don't know, ruminating about something. It comes into my day with me. It's there when I'm doing my teeth, and then I'm making breakfast, and then the noticing at some point in that day or before going to bed, I will generally it'll pop in like, oh wow, when did that drop away? And you see that it's when our focus shifts onto something else just quite naturally. It's been interesting the last week. My parents went home on Monday and they've been with us for a week. And normally we have another date in to see them, and we didn't this time. And I just had all this emotion come up. Like, my dad's got Parkinson's. So, if we go for a few weeks, I think the last one was 9 weeks. When I saw him again, there'd been quite a decline and it was quite upsetting. So I kind of just had all this emotion, and I wanted to put it together to come upstairs and be with him and say goodbye. And I just couldn't pull it together. Then on and off all day, I just kept getting flooded with emotion. And it's interesting because then Lucia was getting flooded with emotion about saying goodbye to the dog, Bilbo. I was sad about saying goodbye to my parents. She didn't want the dog to go. And then on the Tuesday, we saw one of her good friends at Forest School. And then when we had to say goodbye, she's had this huge reaction to saying goodbye. And then on and off since last week, she's had these big emotions about missing her friend. And she gets completely overwhelmed with them to the point where she's like, I want to see him now. And like and there's nothing I can say or do. I just have to sit with her. and say, I'll do my best to arrange another time to see him. And then he's been ill over the weekend, so we haven't been able to see him. But it's fascinating to see that she just gets overcome with a feeling and she totally feels and expresses it. And then at some point it slips away and she's in a next moment, and she can't manufacture that, and I can't manufacture it for her. When she was younger, it was so easy to distract her from her, but she's got onto this idea that you can hang on to it. And I don't know why we do that to ourselves.
No.
Because when she was younger, she would almost see if I hold on to this feeling, I'm going to feel really uncomfortable and miserable. Oh, I'll think about something else. And she'd go with that. Whereas now I could not distract her. We ended up going swimming. She only mentioned it a few times at swimming. The moment we're back in the car, she was back on it. And I just think we are always trying to do something with it. And then today she's mentioned it a couple of times with no emotion with it, just she wanted to see him. But it's just natural. It's just what we do as human beings. We create constantly, and we get lost in our stories, and we live a life. And it feels like all of us are trying to go, no, but I don't want to have that feeling. I want to get out of it quicker, and I want to be zen all the time, or I want to be. And I think I've just started to realize the principles was never about getting rid of certain types of feeling. It was like understanding our nature, understanding the nature of feelings, the nature of reality, the nature of life. And in that exploration and in that interest, I have got less interested in my own mood and my own level of consciousness, my own story. So quite naturally, I go in and out of things
How
quicker.
well you're doing, etc.
Yeah. And I remember speaking to some friends, and
You're right for a minute if I go for a wee. Sorry.
after they'd been around Sydney Banks for probably about 20 years at this point. It was a man called Keith Blevins, Dr. Keith Blevins, and his wife Alda, and they had two good friends, Stan and Leslie. And they said they were kind of trying to have a conversation about what is it that this man has kind of imparted to, like, what is it that's happened to us as a community, as a group, like what. And they said they kept trying to talk about it and they couldn't. And then they said, I think it was Leslie said, well, it's almost like he's shown us how you can have thought, drop thought, have thought, drop thought. And it just happens quicker. You get caught in it, you drop it. You get caught in it and you drop it. And that seems to be, as your level of awareness goes up, your level of consciousness shifts, you allow thought to come in and to go, come in and to go at a quicker rate. It doesn't mean that it doesn't come in. It doesn't mean that when it comes in, it doesn't consume you, but you can allow it to come and go, and then it can come back and then go again. And it was interesting because they were saying that seems to be the thing that in a relationship, as a parent, in your job, is a very helpful thing, because as you allow things to come and go, you then have the gift of wisdom and insight. So you have more space for new ideas, inspiration, like how to move forward. But I think we just give our stagnant thinking so much attention, our stagnant feelings. Like it was I don't know if you spoke about last night.
Nope.
If you weren't feeling great last night, you just, I just want to talk. And he said, you just had this feeling. He said, I haven't felt like this for such a long time. And if like, I could see you were very stressed, and you get little ticks on your face when you're stressed. But it was interesting. I sort of sat there and I thought, well, I know that there's nothing really wrong. I know that you're actually okay. I know that there's no point now trying to dissect and figure out what's going on in your mind that's creating this. And I sat and I listened for a bit, and then I kind of thought, right.
It's funny because as I was speaking, I'm going, that's not it. That's not it.
And then it just occurred to me, I was like, do you just want me to give you a back rub? I know your back's been sore. Do you want a massage? Should we just not, I don't think we need to talk about any of this. Do you just, and after that, you're, oh, so much better actually. Like it just felt like it moved something stagnant. And I said to you, it felt like you were stagnant. There's something that happened, and in movement it felt like it helped. And I think that's the thing I love. Like people hear about the principles and that there's nothing to do. There is nothing to do with what the principles point to. It's a pre-existing system at play in life. It's just how it works. It's how we work. It's how life unfolds. But in the moment, wisdom, insight can guide us to something that's helpful. So you felt drawn to just be alone with me, away from the rest of the family, and just have some time. And as I was listening and listening, I realized, well, there's no dialogue here that's going to be helpful. there is no problem here from where I'm seeing it, but it only feels like a problem. And I kind of could see that you were almost onto it. And then it just popped into my head. Because I know how much you love massage, and you can normally just
I have to
switch
do
off.
to get a massage. I don't know.
Have a break then. But you see, there's things that we know in our lives can be helpful for us, that make sense to us.
And it's interesting because the last time I felt like that kind of heavy, the thing that occurred to me was a stone circle. I love stone circles. I love stone circles. I've started dowsing them and finding the energy lines that they're existing on, and fascinate me. They fascinate me, and I've got my theories that are coming to me about them. But the thing that came to me was go to a stone circle. I knew that me studying my shit was not going to take me to happiness, but I knew that love would. And I sang. What I did was I stood in the middle of this stone circle on the side of this hill, and I sang. I'm not telling anybody to do this. Do what the hell you want. This was what was coming from me. Do that. So I stood there and I sang, and then I walked down the hill to the bottom of the hill, bloody big hill, and I spoke to the river. I talked to the river for an hour. I spoke to the river, and then I was in this weird trance, and then I turned around, I walked back up the hill, and I carried on singing, and I had my eyes shut, and I was singing, and then I heard this, come here, Meg, come here, Meg, come here. And this dog came running up to me, and within about 20 meters of me was a man and a woman. And there was this fucking odd bloke stood in the middle of the stone circle in a bright red jacket singing. Right. I was like, I was mortified. I was absolutely mortified. But it left. You know, people confuse there's nothing to do with do nothing. No. There's nothing to do, like Jen says, with the principles. It's not, there is nothing to do there. The principles are are a description of the foundational nature of life. However, we've been given the gift to come into this world and create. Don't do nothing, create, be, live. What does your heart want you to do? What do you love? What do you love doing? If you love painting, find time to paint. If you love running, find time to run. If you love being with people, find time to be with people. If you love gardening, find time to garden. You know, align with that heart space. What is the heart? Well, it's that you love. You know, and so few people exercise that gift. They're too busy trying to fix themselves. People sit around the house thinking about themselves all day. The thing is, it's a really simple, Seeker, quick thing. Pick up 3 things. Some people have seen this, other people haven't. Let's just do it.
3 things?
Yeah, pick up 3 things. Any 3 things.
Okay.
All right. First things first, did we rehearse this?
Sorry?
Have we rehearsed this?
No?
Right, cool. Right, pick up number 1 thing. First thing.
What?
Pick one up.
Oh.
Any of those things.
This
Okay.
thing.
Tell me about that. What is that thing? Tell me all about it.
So it's a gold coaster.
Nice. What else can you tell
Yeah,
me?
I like the gold. It was meant to be in keeping with my theme for the things around the house.
All the other gold in your house.
Well, forms of gold. Yeah.
Carry on telling me about the thing.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Keep going, keep going.
Okay.
Don't anticipate, don't anticipate.
All right. So when I got into this space, I wanted it to be entirely of my liking or inclination. And for me, I wanted the decor of the house to reflect white, gold, and color. And then to marry it all together, I've got a gold clock over there. I've got these golden coasters. I've got golden shimmery curtainy things. Can't even say. And lampshade. I could show you all of these things actually, to be honest. Where the heck?
See,
How do you reverse? Ah, there it is.
the Seeker living
So can you see this? So it's a gold thing, but I've put green fake creepers on it
I
to
like
make
it.
it look, yeah. And so then this is the gold lampshade stuff. And when you come to this, it's a gold shimmery curtainy
Look at that.
fly
Eh?
trap
And
thing.
you've got your
So
gold coasters. All
yeah,
right, next
and
thing, pick up
yep,
another one of those objects. Pick up another one of those objects. I love your house. Pick up
okay,
another
so
one of those objects you had.
which the first ones? Yeah, that's my bottle.
Talk to me about the bottle.
Okay, from this bottle, I drink. This is the first bottle of water I drink every day.
All
I
right.
fill it up every day religiously. The first thing I drink that goes into my mouth. And then, if you're thinking about the last one,
No, I'm still thinking about the bottle. What else
oh,
can you tell me about the
frickin' hell.
bottle? What else can you tell me?
Right, the bottle. It's made of glass, and I love the color. It's one of my favorite colors, fuchsia. And I made a promise to myself that the first thing I do every morning is not go for a cup of coffee. It's to have a 500 ml of water from this bottle every single day.
That's why
So
you
it's-
look good. That's why you look well. Tell me about the
Yeah.
next thing you picked up, please.
Right. This is a book. It's a book given to me for safekeeping by one of my really good friends who lives in Whitstable. This was handed to her by her father, who bought it. Can you see this? In
Oh.
1943. And it was a gift which I received, and it's been handed down from. Can you see? It's written in inscriptions, and it was bought while he was on a journey through the Panama Canal. He's
Wow.
had his first impressions over here. And guess what it is? It's a freaking ancient book for home physicians. The Home Physician
Love it.
and Guide to Health. It is just freaking amazing. And look at the book. I mean,
That looks like my nemesis.
but it's got lots of pictures and crazy things about how people saw and treated diseases back in the day.
Cool. I
Yeah,
love that. Right.
that's my stuff.
Thank you, Seeker. Right. Put your camera back on yourself. See that beautiful face? Very hydrated face.
Yeah.
All right. Few questions to ask you. So we're agreed that wasn't staged. I didn't ask you to rehearse anything.
Nope.
Okay. So when you were looking at the coaster, did you have any experience of the bottle or of the book?
No.
No. Okay. When you were looking at your bottle, did you have any experience of the coaster or the book?
No.
And when you were looking at your book and telling us about your book, did you have any experience of the coaster or the bottle?
No.
I
It
know
was
it
all
was
very
frozen again.
singular.
It maybe hasn't for you a lot, but it's frozen for us. Just give us a moment.
Oh, yeah.
Are you there again? Right, you've come back. What was the answer?
Yeah. No, it was all very singular thoughts.
All right. Okay. I want to do that. I want to just show people something that I hope they can gain a respect for. You see, Seeker was never taught, like any of us, we were never taught that where you focus attention, we were never taught how to do this. This is something that's innate in us. We're built like this. Where we focus our attention, we have an experience. And wherever we focus our attention, our mind brings us corresponding thoughts according to our belief system. Okay. Sometimes it'll bring us brand new thought as well. Thought we've never thought about. You know, you focus your attention on something that needs fixing. How the hell am I going to do that? I've never faced this problem before. I've never had to change the car brake discs, pads or discs or whatever. How am I going to do it? All right. Well, it needs that. I didn't know it needed that. You know, sometimes our mind will bring us brand new thought as well, which is a wonderful thing. But I just wanted to point out something that where Seeker focused her attention, she had an exclusive experience. The mind brought her exclusive information, completely relevant to the subject she was looking at. So the coaster, my coaster, well, you know, it actually goes with my decor. I'll show you around my house. This is my decor. I've got this long gold thing that I tie back, and I've got my gold clock, and I wanted this to be in keeping with my house. And then my bottle, well, I like 500 milliliters of water. I've tried to stop drinking coffee. All these thoughts that came to her just through looking at a bottle. All she did was she focused her attention, her gift of consciousness. And where she focused that attention, thought came. Thought, waves appropriate to that object, according to Seeker, came to mind. Okay. Now imagine the experience and what the mind does to the individual who is constantly looking at what's wrong with them, who is focusing their attention on what's wrong with me. What does the mind do? It brings them corresponding thought. Corresponding thought, which then to the untrained eye makes it look like it's more real. But the moment Seeker forgets about the bottle, there's no bottle, doesn't exist in her experience. The moment she forgets about the book, it's gone out of her experience. There's no experience of it. It's not in her reality right now. She has to focus her attention for it to come into her reality again. Okay, this is what we're up against. We're up against misunderstanding of the nature of reality, up against the misunderstanding of the nature of mind, how we deal with feelings. You give all your attention to what's wrong with the world, you're going to fucking find it. It's going to keep showing up. It's not that it's actually there. It's just you keep seeing it. You keep looking for what's wrong with you. Your mind's going to bring you corresponding thought that matches that you're seeking, where you're focusing your attention. Does that make sense? That makes sense?
Yes.
And I love
Speaker,
what you
thanks for
can
doing that,
see-
love.
But I love what you can see about, you've done that with so many different people. Like some people just automatically start telling you like, well, it's made of metal and it's got holes in it and it's the pattern, and like what comes to different people's minds, it
Mm.
blows my mind. Like
Yeah.
what occurred to you to say about your bottle, someone else would be looking at the bottle and trying to be like, right, well, it's made of glass and it's got this color lid, and then I take it up and
Mm.
you see that we then live in our own world. So you could hand 3 people the same 3 objects at different times and they'd have a completely different experience. What comes to their minds, so we all live in this is unique to us. And I think it does show some, you know, sometimes we do have, some people really get really critical about things and they go for the detail, and other people go really expansive, and it's just interesting, like, but it's all up for grabs. None of it's fixed. Like we've done that with people before, and they get so nervous that they're going to get it wrong
Yeah.
that they can't even really think about the object,
Yeah.
because their thought, it's like, am I going to get this wrong? What is this, a trick question? One person you tried to do it with, and you showed him a pen, and he started saying that he saw the cosmos and the atoms. And
What do you see? We talk about your pen. I see God. Do you? I see a fucking pen, mate. Tell me about the pen. I see God. I see it's made up of divinity, and I'm like, come on, get human. Let's be human.
maybe he did.
Maybe you did. Don't think you did.
Wendy, you've had your hand up for
Wend.
ages.
Soz love.
Oh, this is a great conversation. And my colleague across the pond, I don't even know where you live, Dr. Sika, but you know, you and I are in the fine healthcare field. And one of my favorite expressions for this whole conversation is the principles describe, they do not prescribe. So to think of them as something to apply, to take out of a box, or to empty a pill bottle on occasion in order to make life better is a false narrative. That isn't accurate, you know. A fun metaphor, whatever, analogy, I don't even know what the hell the difference is between those two things, that I just came up with is that you and I might have studied the nature of a upper respiratory infection, a cold. We might know the nature of an upper respiratory infection. And for those that are using upper respiratory infection, the symptom, the feeling of having one, if you were to say to yourself, well, this is really awful. I'm going to die. I'm a 32-year-old woman and I'm going to die of this upper respiratory infection. It is, look at all this green stuff coming out of my head. And if we were stuck there and that person came to our office or whatever, you or I would help to say, that's the nature of a cold. There's green stuff. It comes, it goes, it feels shitty when you have it. But I think you've probably had a few. You're 32, right? I bet you've had a few of these colds before, right? Have they gone? Well, yeah, but this one, I know, feels bad. I know, I get it. So we would be able to kind of describe the nature of an upper respiratory infection. And we wouldn't be saying, there's something about prescribing to say, I want you to go home and really study upper respiratory infections. I want you to go home and think about it 24/7. We wouldn't say that to them. We just go, it's all going to be good. And, oh, did you see that shiny object over there? And we would try to distract the 32-year-old person like Jenny did with their daughter. You try to, and so, if that person wants to keep talking about their upper respiratory, that's something different. But that, to me, that the difference or the distinction between prescribe and just totally useful. And Dave and Jenny, I just loved that use of the 3 objects. It's the first time I've experienced that. I've not seen you do that. I've not been on a call and you've done that. I'm sure that's a standard, standard way of trying to help people see how the mind works. And I really loved it because I have a belief as a 3 principles, whatever you want to talk about, practitioner, guide, mentor, teacher, blah, whatever you want to call it. I have a bee in my bonnet that there are no tools or techniques. So I get all bound up with, I just got to sit there and hope that my fabulous words and my kind eyes and my wonderful presence of mind will bring about insight. And some people in the world say, that's bollocks. I can see completely how that trick that you just did, that tool that you just provided, that technique that you provided to help somebody see in the moment what I'm thinking about. It was so valuable just to experience that. And I do know that a whiteboard or a flip chart or you've used flip charts every retreat that you run, the ones in the remote ones. So I don't know why I get all tied up and twisted up with there are no tools or techniques. I guess it's mixed up with there's no tools or techniques for how the mind works. It works the way it works. And it's a matter of seeing it or trusting it or experiencing the difference when you see it from one angle versus another angle. There may not be tools or techniques that way, but I don't know. I'm starting to question the whole thing, but I really have appreciated this conversation.
I love I don't know, love.
What's that?
I love I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I
space to
totally
be in,
don't know. Which is, like you said, that's a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's something that a lot of people are afraid of, but being in that I don't know and having that, being in that, not one single wise person came into this world and said, the answer to peace, the way to peace? Knowing fucking everything.
Mm.
They came into this world and went, do you know the answer to peace? The other way to find peace? Humility.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's humility. It's in that letting go of what you think you know, so you can hear something from within yourself again. The first time we ever did that was in a car, wasn't it, with a young girl, and she was desperately trying to fix herself, and we just chucked her these things, and that's where that was born. We're like, it was getting to the point where it was like, seriously, right, what can we do? I was driving along, I was passing her sunglasses, a bottle, and, well, what the shit have I got down there? I can't give her that. What else have I got? Some crusty old sandwich that's been there.
Yeah.
No, put that
Yeah.
back. Like, yeah. No, I think it's a useful way to kind of just it's an in the life, it's in real life kind of in
Right.
the moment example of how consciousness, you get to see Seeker create a narrative, a story, and all through the gift of attention, the gift of attention.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
just
right.
then to point it out that if you go looking for all that's wrong with you, you are going to find it. But it's not there's anything wrong with you. You're just going to find the corresponding thought that goes with what you're looking for, like
Mhm.
Seeker did with the bottle, the coaster, and the book.
Mhm.
Sorry.
No, so I was just going to say it's what occurs in the moment, and that doesn't always occur to you to do with people. They don't always. It's not like every
No.
4 days when people come and spend 4 days.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't. And if we do a 4-day retreat, it doesn't always occur to you. And I think there's been so many made up rules in the Three Principles community, and you should never use the same diagram. So I kind of came in thinking, right, I have to. I can never tell the same story twice.
Oh
You have to tell
gosh.
stories every single, like all of these beliefs. Then you just think, get present in the moment with people, and trust that we know how to be with people, and trust that the right things will come up. And I think
Mm.
so many of the things, like that beautiful diagram that you do of the rainbow, of the lake, like they're just in the moment things that occur, and then they might come back like, actually this feels like it'd be really helpful again. And there's other
Mm.
things that we've gone, actually that felt really flat, it didn't
Mm.
feel like it had the same energy to it
We didn't
anymore.
have the energy behind it anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, like if you're telling a story just from memory and you haven't got the same feel for it anymore, it does
Right.
become, you're just regurgitating
Right,
information.
right.
But
But you then
when you're alive with
sorry,
it,
sorry, love, no, carry on.
when you're alive with that story, I think that's what comes across. And I don't know, I feel like all of these ideas of rules are just personal opinions of different
Yeah.
practitioners in the community. And I've had my own, things that I've made up. And we used to do train facilitators, and you're not really supposed to do that because you can't train a facilitator. So I had all of this thinking around that, and I don't know, I just think at some point you reckon there isn't a right, there isn't like Sydney Banks passed away, and he tried to point people back inside to that place, that teacher and that guide,
Yeah.
and from
Exactly.
there, and be in the moment with whatever wisdom occurs to you to do with
Yeah,
someone.
exactly.
And I think, who knows how he would be speaking now if he had continued.
Yeah. And it's funny you're saying that, because what it's making me think of is, what if Sydney Banks was a medical doctor and he uncovered these things? He would probably use different words, use different examples, speak a different way. What if he was, an investment banker? He would speak different ways. He was a welder. He spoke the way he spoke, and he communicated the way he communicated. It's kind of an interesting thing that whatever glasses we're wearing, oh, I'm a nurse. Okay. That's how I see the world. I'm a, whatever. Yeah. And just in relationship to what Sika asked, is that your name, your first name, Sika? I feel like I'm being
Yeah,
rude.
it is Shikha. It is my first name.
Shika.
Okay, because it says Dr.
Shikha.
Shika. So I'm thinking surname because in my country, the doctor has a surname.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's something which I haven't bothered to change
That's
ever.
it's
It
okay.
just comes automatically.
It's okay. So, like when Shika asked about, is there a trick to kind of get off the dime? And then when you did the 3 things, it's like, there's the trick. Do I see how we're focused on the gold medallion and the gold medallion, the gold medallion? You might go, why do I like gold? Why is the coaster this big? Why isn't it bigger? Why isn't it smaller? Oh my gosh, do I have enough coasters for everybody when they come to the party? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. And you go like, oh, girlfriend, why don't you go why don't you drink some water out of your bottle? Right? Like it's so interesting and I do it too, like all the time. I was telling Dave and Jenny, I was all excited last week. I'm like, I think I'm gonna go to the United Kingdom and go to your retreat. And I can't wait. I'm going to go to Coniston. That's what and then my husband, within 24 hours, said, guess what? We owe $3,000 to somebody that we didn't even think about. And I was like, oh, so then that went away. But then I started to get interested in like, well, how can I do it all? And I'm thinking there may be a way to do it all, but I don't know today, Dave. I don't know statement and the I don't know. But there's somebody on this call that's offered to take away like $100 of or £100 by offering to pick me up at the train station and bring me to Coniston. I'm like, so that's okay, take off that, anyway. I'm just saying is that it feels like it's back on the table as a possibility. I even hate saying it out loud because I don't want to disappoint myself or anybody else, but that'd be great. I would love to see
Oh, it'd be so
all
nice.
of you.
It'd be so nice when
Yeah.
my sister's been one of the greatest examples of like in my life. Like we were going out to California, weren't we? And Lisa's like, Yosemite National, was it Yosemite? No, was
Yeah,
it?
oh no,
No.
we'd already done that.
Wasn't Yosemite? Oh, the John Muir Trail. We're walking some of the John Muir Trail with Linda
Famous.
Ramus. Anybody who knows Linda Ramus, one of the unsung heroes of Three Principles. Beautiful lady. We were walking some of the John Muir Trail with her, and Lisa was coming. My sister's the most active, Humo said. She's the sunshine like, and she was planning it. We're going to do this, we'll do that. And she was going all over it. She was ringing us up. She was getting maps. She was planning it. And all of a sudden, after 2 weeks of that, she rings us up and goes,
No, it was a day of that.
was it a day of that?
It was a day of that, and then your mum and dad were like, "Look, we're going to California.
yeah,
It's
sorry.
already booked,
Yeah, sorry.
and we can't
Can't
leave the
shut the
business
shop.
with no one. So at least you can't
Sorry,
come."
yeah.
She's
Yeah.
like, oh,
And Lisa just goes, do you know what? I am so grateful I got to have that experience of all that excitement. She said, it was wonderful whilst I was experiencing it. She said, it was brilliant. Oh, thanks for that. Right. No, I can't come. I've got to stay at work. All right. And she just, off she went. But to me, I would have probably been like, oh, oh.
But it's like if Lisa, like, a car blows up when she's driving to Scotland, she might have a moment of like, oh God,
Yeah.
but then she's like, who am I going to meet?
Yeah.
What's going to happen next? And she
Where am I
just,
going to be
that's
tomorrow?
just where her mind takes her. She's always like
She sees
intrigued,
adventure. Yeah.
and she sees it as things unfold. That's how they
Yeah.
are meant to unfold. They couldn't unfold any differently. So it's not to say she doesn't. I don't know what she believes, but she just allows whatever happens to be an opportunity. That's
Yes.
what comes to Lisa's mind is what opportunities are going to now come to me. It's never a disaster. It's always an opportunity, and that's just how she's been. You said probably even before the principles.
To a degree, but more so since.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's just what. And some people, the smallest thing is a disaster. Oh, I've just dropped that on the floor. Now I'm gonna clean it up. But like Lisa's like crashed her car umpteen times.
Well, she's got a golf, hasn't she? And I joke because it looks like a golf ball. Like it is literally dented on every. It got to the point where you say the term "you can't dent a dent" becomes useless. You can totally dent a dent. My sister's car is proof of it. It's appalling, isn't it? All right. Okay, we're going a bit over time. Thanks everybody for being here. Again, if you're interested in our retreat, 15th and 19th of August 2025, Coniston Lake District, get in touch. Details in the description below. If you wish to make a donation, details in the description below. If you want to work with us, emails below.
Email's working again. Website's back.
Yeah, it was a
We
nightmare.
haven't had it updated yet,
No.
but it is going to be updated.
Is it a landing page we got at the moment?
No, the old one's back up.
The old one's back up. All right, cool. Thank you all so much for being here. We really, really appreciate it. We keep saying it'd be appalling without you lot just sat here talking. It'd be appalling. We'd do it. We'd do it.
You've done it once.
Done it. No, nearly did it once.
Oh yeah.
No, there
there's
was
one
one person who showed up who had nothing to talk about, and I just had to pull it out. We can do it. You
can
might
always-
know. You might even know what call that was. It was. Anyway, thank you all so much for being here. We are next Sunday, 7 o'clock. Next Monday, 7 o'clock. Sorry, we will be back here, all being well.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Thanks everyone.
God
Sorry
bless
I'm
everyone.
late.
Loads of love.
I blame Lucia.
Lots of love.
Mwah.
Bye.
Loads of love. Take care.
The wrong one. You took the wrong one.